All right, everybody, it's the Jere Metcalf podcast, and today is Annette Akers from New York City with Compass, in business for only 5 years and doing incredibly well, a top agent, doing, I believe, how many what millions are you doing now, Annette?
Well, in 2018, I booked almost $20 million in revenue.
Amazing. So that's how much volume?
Yes.
But how much volume is that?
Well, it was about $500,000 in GCI.
Okay.
As far as the volume, it was probably 15 transactions.
Wow.
So I'm not doing hundreds of transactions like some of other agents across the country. But our price point is so much higher.
Incredible. Exactly. So high-end real estate in New York City in 5 years and already doing incredibly well. So now we want to learn a little bit, like, how did you do it? So first of all, tell us a little bit about what you were doing before and how that transitioned into being a real estate agent.
So I've always been in sales. I started my career selling Yellow Page advertising. I don't know if everyone remembers the Yellow Pages, but I started out doing Yellow Page advertising in publishing.
Wow.
So I was making ads. I was doing a lot of.
And how many years ago was that?
This was, oh my gosh, I hate to say it. I think it was like 25 years ago. So I've literally been in sales my whole entire career. So
Wow.
I started doing that right out of college, and then I transitioned into medical device sales. So really for the past 20 years, I've been in medical device sales. I took a position here in New York City, in Manhattan in 2007. So I've been
And that was about 12 years ago.
That was 12 years. Yes, that was 12 years ago that I came here, thinking that this would be a great market for me to learn and get promoted in. And then in 2009, I was let go. It's when the recession hit.
Yeah, exactly.
A huge layoff, and unfortunately, because I was one of the newer people here in New York City, I was let go. So I was laid off for quite a while. It took me probably like a year and a half to find a job that I felt was, suitable, and also that compensated the same way that I was compensated before. But after being in it for 2 years, I got really bored, really just not nearly as enthusiastic as I used to be regarding the industry that I once really loved. Mm-hmm. How I got into real estate, I'll be honest, I completely stumbled into real estate. It's not something I ever thought about doing. What happened was I had a really good friend who was also, I would say, was also looking for another position to get out of medical sales. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that made sense. Sorry.
Yeah, well, you knew somebody else. They're thinking about getting into real estate.
So one of my friends and I were.
So it was like a team effort. You guys went into it together?
So what happened was we were both looking for jobs. One day she said, "Why don't we get our real estate license?" And I was like, "Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Why real estate?"
Obviously she was. We can all say that for sure now.
Such a departure from what we were doing. So lo and behold, the next day, I found a Groupon in an email for getting a real estate license for $200.
Now, nobody told me about that. I had to pay full price for mine.
Yeah, so I felt like the universe was trying to tell me something. So I called up my friend. I said, "You're not going to believe this, but there is a Groupon today to get your real estate license for $200. She's like, "This is a sign. We got to do this."
Awesome.
So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it, because what do I have to lose? I hate my job. I'm looking to transition into something else. I love real estate. I bought and sold 3 of my own properties.
Yeah.
2 in Chicago, where I'm from, and then I bought a co-op here in New York City. So I've always loved real estate. And I'm like, well, this will, if nothing else, this will help educate me for future transactions that hopefully I will do here in the city. So, right. So I've always loved marketing. In fact, I'm a marketing major. But I think for me, I'm really a creative spirit. I'm very much an artist, I think, innately. So it's in my DNA. I'm always thinking of new and creative ways to market myself and to brand myself. I'm not one that ever got really excited about sending out postcards to buildings and doing a lot of, like, I think, old school real estate marketing. I know it's very effective for a lot of agents, but here in New York City, when you're working a vertical market, I mean, you have to send a lot, millions of postcards, I think, to really get some traction, right? And it's just not, it's just not anything that really excited me about doing and about branding myself.
So what got you attention? What got you what got you the first deal, or is it more important, what got you the traction that you have now?
I think what got me the traction is, one, I think it's just really staying consistent in doing the grind. I mean, things like this really don't happen overnight. I mean, it's a tough business, as you know.
Exactly.
And I think it's really easy to get frustrated and want to quit. But I think it's important is that you just have to continue to do the grind. I also think that you need to be open to doing things that might be really uncomfortable, things that are really out of your comfort zone.
So, keep going.
And that's, the video series. I mean, I wanted to do something on a video platform, because if you really are paying attention to the social platforms today, like Facebook, Instagram, I mean, everything's going towards the video.
Exactly.
Right?
So I want to pause, because you said several things I want us to make sure we understand from you and that we elaborate on. And number one is, I've got three. Number one is, you talk about the grind. What is your grind? Because to me, grind is your daily habits, the things you're doing every day, no matter what, that that make a compound effect and make you successful. Like working out, for example, you've got to do it consistently every day, not just one day a year. What is your grind?
Right, exactly. I mean, it's like routine equates to success, right? You have to come up with a great routine and stick with it, and it'll ultimately produce a successful outcome. For me, my grind is just, it's continually to follow up with everybody I know. It's just it's whether it's on the phone or really, I think the best way to get started is to reach out to all your friends, reach out to former managers, reach out to colleagues, reach out to as many people as you know, and get as much face time and one-on-ones with these people. Take them out for coffee, take them out for lunch, get together for happy hour. And that's really how I got started, because I had very minimal marketing dollars to put forth, right?
And coffees doesn't cost much. Phone calls don't cost much. And one-on-one, and for all of us, that's really, it's important to, no matter what you do, to stay engaged in those things.
I think it's also really important for new agents to go to the office and get to know as many of the agents in the office as possible, and do their open houses. Ask them to say, listen, I'm available. I want to.
So we've got listeners that are in the beginning that are doing open houses, and then we've got listeners who are like, been there, done that. So I think it's important to say, okay, like if you guys are in the beginning, like open houses, engaging, being around agents, and you tell me if you agree with this. When you're new, being around other agents is important, because it's important to be known no matter what. But when you're new, you hear people doing deals and you get around the business, and you kind of do learn by osmosis, or when you get around it, you quickly pick up on things you wouldn't have otherwise. And who you're with and what company you're with and what agents you're around matters, because without thinking, you'll pick up their habits and do business the way they do.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, clients come and go. We have a fiduciary responsibility to them. We represent them. We have relationships with them. But agents stay in this business, and we're doing business with them every day. So it's important to be around them and develop those relationships. So on that, on your grind, it's really just being consistent and follow up and connecting with people and establishing a program that does that. You also talked about being uncomfortable, and I always laugh and say there's certain things that make you uncomfortable for a reason, like because it's a bad idea, and there's some things that make you uncomfortable just because it's unfamiliar, and you've got to be willing to do it anyway. How do you know, and it sounds to me like you have a really good intuition about things very clearly, but do you have any like guardrails or guidelines for yourself of like, cold calling someone at 6 a.m. is uncomfortable, but it's also a bad idea. That's an extreme. Or doing video marketing or a podcast is uncomfortable, but it's an amazing, powerful idea. Did you have to do some trial or an error to figure that out? Or how did you kind of associate what's uncomfortable and good versus the other kind of uncomfortable?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Starting a video series was very scary to me, but I mean, the best advice I could give to somebody is like, just don't think about it too much.
I like that. Just do it. Nike. Anyway.
Exactly. I mean, if you overthink it, you're going to psych yourself out. And if you think too much about the logistics, you're not going to do it because it's going to appear to be very overwhelming.
Right.
You just have to get started. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to, you don't have to have all your ducks in a row. The logistics will eventually iron themselves out. Mm-hmm. The best thing to do is just go and get started. What I did is I met a videographer, believe it or not, at a BNI group that I was invited to attend. Mm-hmm. And we just started talking, and I told him about this idea that I wanted to do. And he goes, I can help you with that. So I was like, okay.
That's awesome.
He emailed me a couple days later, and he goes, well, do you want to get together? And I was like, okay. And then we met, and I just sort of rambled off some ideas and, this vision I had in my head. And he's like, okay, let's start next Thursday.
I like this guy. Yeah.
Okay. So I just went with it, right?
Yeah.
And what I did is like, after I left that meeting, I was like, oh God, I gotta figure out like what I'm gonna do. So I reached out to businesses that I knew and was comfortable with. I knew the owners, and
so to back up, because nobody knows what you're talking about anymore, reaching out to businesses. So tell us a little bit about, so everybody understands what you do, because we're going to ask you your advice on building videos. But before we do that, walk us through a video series and what that looks like. And then let's go back and kind of understand how that evolves. So so we know because this is exciting and your videos are great. Tell us a little bit about how your video series unfolds and what it looks like.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, my video series is called West Side Wednesdays. And the first thing I did was think of a concept, right? I live on New York City's Upper West Side.
Great name. Right.
Yeah. And I wanted to, like we talked about earlier, do some creative marketing that was a little off the beaten path, that wasn't overdone. So I thought of the concept, and I was like, how do I also give back to the community?
Right.
Neighborhood that I really love. So that would be entertaining to people, that would be real estate related, but wouldn't be too, real estatey.
Or too salesy maybe, or too
salesy, right?
Like, oh, there you go. But something people want to, kind of that would go viral. The people would be like, this is interesting.
Right. And still add value and still have information for people. I mean,
so walk us through your video. Like, what is a video? What is a West Side Wednesday? How many minutes is it? And what do you say? And what does it look like?
Right. So that is sort of, that was my forte, right? Originally, I was going to call it like in a New York minute, because I wanted them to be 60
that's
seconds.
cute. Yeah.
Yeah, 60 seconds. or less. It ends up there like a little over 2 minutes because it's really hard to fit in the B-roll. And what I do is I try to find businesses that are hidden gems that a lot of people don't know about. And so what I do is I go and I find out who the contact person is who takes care of their marketing. And I tell them about the video series, and almost always people are really excited and want to do it.
Yeah.
So what I do is I shoot 4 businesses in a day. So I find 4 businesses that are relatively close to one another. I mean, I live in New York City, so it's really easy.
Everything's really, the tables are this big. Yeah. I mean, so you still have to tell us. I'm not going to let you finish telling us how you do it until you tell us what your video looks like. Like, take us through, how many minutes is your video?
My videos are now, I would say on average, about 2 minutes long.
Okay. A New York 2 minute. Or in a New York 2 minutes?
In a New York 2 minutes.
So how does that video roll out? Is it just the business? You're talking about real estate? You're talking about...
It has a small introduction. And then, it starts out with a little teaser, right? A little clip from the video where we try to come up with something like a funny question or a funny statement about the Upper West Side. Like I'll say, like, what are Upper West Siders' favorite types of coffee? Like, I did this for a coffee shop.
Oh, that's awesome.
The guy's like, I forgot what he said, but it was really cute. And then it goes into my introduction. And then what I do is I say, I tell a little bit about the business in just like 10 seconds, like a 10-second introduction. And then we go into the business, and then I do a short Q&A with the owners. So, and then while we're doing the Q&A, we're also showing like B-roll of the business, right? So let's say the business owners like, we have great teas that we import from China. We'll do B-roll and scan all the teas, right?
Yeah.
So when we're doing the Q&A, and then we'll do the Q&A first, and then we'll do the B-roll later. Right. But I'll take a mental...
walk us through the video. Don't tell us how yet. We want to live the video. So video is, we've got this great... Like, I used to do videos with the one-liner at the end. You've kind of got your one-liner or your question, your opening question, like, what's the best coffee on the West Side? And then next, you go an intro, and you talk about the coffee on the West Side at a coffee shop on the West Side. And then you have a Q&A with the coffee owner, and you've got a B-roll of like, here's all the cool things while you guys are interviewing about the coffee. And then after that, because this is a 2-minute video, do you have does it close out at that point, or what happens next?
So it closes out, right. So all my questions try to be sort of related to the business and how the business connects to the neighborhood, right?
Love it. Okay. And then how does it close out? Is it just music, or is it, and then your name and your business and their business, or?
Yeah, it closes out where I have like a little tagline where I said, and that's a wrap of another episode of
It's so fun and so personable. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's like my shtick, right? And I'm like, navigating to a neighborhood, to a home you'll love. So I'll try to throw in a little bit of real estate without it screaming real estate, because I don't want to turn people off. I really want this to be about the business and about what people want to hear about, but people that are associated with the neighborhood. Right. So you're building a presence in the neighborhood without seeming too aggressive, but more approachable. Right. I want to be branded as the neighborhood expert without throwing, like screaming, I'm a real estate agent, So like I said, I want to be as authentic as, and I truly am. Like, I really want it to be about the business, because I want to get back to the community. And if it's about the business, I mean, I have cultivated so many great relationships with the business owners in the neighborhood, and they have referred me to their customers or clients.
Exactly.
I didn't ask for that, but they want to help me because I want to help them.
So how long? So you do 4 businesses in a day, and it sounds you probably have kind of a templated. How many questions do you typically ask?
I don't ask that many. I will send them 4 or 5 in advance, right?
Perfect. Yeah.
And but a lot of times when we are doing the video, these questions just come they just come naturally.
Is that kind of like the podcast? Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
Awesome. And so like let's say I'm going to start doing neighborhood videos of Buckhead or Brookhaven in Atlanta tomorrow. What is your biggest advice for me to get this thing knocked out like that?
Well, if you're just starting, I would go to people that you're comfortable with, because you want to have some practice in, and you'll eventually get better once you get your
get your groove. Get it going. Yeah, I remember my first podcast, Isaac, you remember, they weren't on video, and I was like, oh my God, if I could just remember to ask the question and let him answer, and it was so intense. I could have never done it on video. And now, of course, where are the questions? We're talking. It's awesome. So find somebody you're comfortable with.
Somebody you're comfortable with, and maybe find a business that not too many people know about. So they're like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that this was in the neighborhood, or that's so cool. I didn't realize that we even had that. I also try to look for businesses that have good B-roll. Like a florist will have good B-roll because the flowers are beautiful.
Well, I would think too on the business end of it is that, I've talked to a lot of other podcasters as well. I don't even think of myself as a podcaster. Isaac, he's the podcaster. I just show up and ask the questions. But they'll say, I'm the realtor, but they'll say, hey, when you interview people that aren't necessarily as huge, you often, and this is going back to your business analogy, when you pick the smaller businesses that are interesting and cool and actually more unique to the neighborhood, they're more appreciative of the interview. But going back to the podcast, those might get more downloads. So because they're going to share it more and be more excited about it, and the same thing for the business, they're so grateful for the attention. It's such a kind of a special way to promote your business in them and develop a relationship. Whereas if you went to a big known chain restaurant on the corner, you're just in their way and they don't care, and you're spending a lot of money and it's not even as interesting.
Right.
And you gain more traction. Yeah.
If you go to Chipotle, you're probably not going to get as many
and it's not going to be interesting. They're everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, I love it.
The other thing I've learned is that people love food. Whenever I do a restaurant, I tend to get
interesting. Yeah.
There's a lot of foodies out there, and food creates really good video. It's beautiful on video, and also you can have a lot of fun with restaurants.
Exactly.
I did last Thanksgiving, I did a video with Magnolia Bakery, which, even though it's not a hidden gem, a lot of people know Magnolia Bakery. It's been on Sex and the City.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. Right.
It is. It's cool, right?
Tag Sex and the City on your Facebook post when you feature your video, and then you've got a bigger audience. Exactly.
Well, everyone, at least in New York City, it's very familiar with Magnolia Bakery. But to kind of add a new twist to it, we actually made pies. So that was a lot of fun. I made pies with the owner, and we had a blast.
I'm not making pies.
That's another
not doing that. Just saying. So, I'm not making any pies. But that's, again, what do you love? What do you do? So I still don't know how to start my video. Isaac and I are going out on the streets of Buckhead tomorrow, and we're not sure what to do. So we got to start over. So obviously you get a good video guy or your
Get a good
best
video
friend
guy.
with an iPhone
Gonna
and some
help
good
you.
sound.
Okay, so we
Find a business,
find a business.
send them the questions, decide what you're going to talk about, keep it down to a New York 2 minutes.
Well, so I don't know if you want to go out and shoot that the same day that you have uncovered the business you want to.
Right.
So what I do is I go out and I scout businesses, and then I find out who the contact person is. I tell them about the video series. If they're not in the store, I will get their contact information and I will contact them. I will send them a link to a video so that at least they understand the concept.
Right.
And then I tell them the platforms that it will be showcased on, like Instagram. I have a YouTube channel. It's going to be on Facebook. I have a Facebook page. I mean, you want to garner as much excitement as you can about it. And then I also look at the store. Like I'll look at things and try to find things that I can ask questions about that would
Right.
be kind of fun, that make the business unique, right? So I'll always go and make a personal visit to the store before I schedule them, because I want to make sure that there's enough room, because I use 2 cameras when I do my videos, which, I mean, you could get away with
That's a
one.
great idea because it keeps the camera moving, it changes angles, it keeps it interesting.
Exactly. It's a little more expensive, but I think it's worth
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
you can edit it better. There's a lot of things you can do better when you've got the 2 videos.
Exactly.
So
and you
how?
can start with one and then bring on another one when you're getting more comfortable, when you got your groove going.
Exactly. So tell us a little bit about, so we've kind of got an idea about how the video works for you kind of have a templated storyboard of, we have a teaser, we introduce you have a teaser, then an intro, kind of a teaser one-liner, an intro, question and answer with B-roll about the business, and close out with the tagline, like that's a wrap, or, and you're headed to your next listing or whatever in the neighborhood. And then to create the video, you choose your business. You template emails that are kind of like your basics of you have your ideal business, that this is the kind of business I choose. This is the kind of email we send to intro. We do the interview. We follow up, thank them, give them links to the video, make sure it's on all the right social media platforms, which it sounds like are for yours, Instagram and Facebook. And you always kind of add the spin of the business. So you've got all that going on. You've got it sounds like once you get it going, it's pretty streamlined. Right. How have you been able, what are some great examples you can give us of how you've generated, you've generated views, how you've generated referrals from business owners, how you've generated referrals from clients because they see it and they remember you, and how do you generate referrals from your social media posts? Which one's most powerful, and what have you learned from it? That's like 5 questions in one, but...
Well, I think generating referrals from the businesses is like I was saying earlier. I make it about the business. I don't make it about me and wanting to generate want anything in return, right?
Well, the video is that way, but clearly something's coming out of it.
Of course. So
tell us, it's only realtors. It's our secret. Tell us because the key is not to let people don't need to feel like they're being pursued. It's value. Right. You deliver value, you have value, and you're valuable, and people will come to you for business. So by creating that value, what has come of that, and what are some great examples, and where has it been most effective? That might be a better way to ask it.
Well, it's also a really great tool to keep in touch with my sphere, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
We're always trying to find new content to email to our database, email to our sphere, something fresh and something that they're going to open.
Actually want to see and watch and listen to.
They're going to something that they're really going to look forward to on a weekly basis. Or monthly, or whatever you decide to do. So at least I think it offers really fresh content, and it gives, it's a piece of material that people are really looking forward to getting. So,
I love that. Well, there's a sense of, in developing influence with an audience, there are things like you want to establish authority. By knowing these businesses in your neighborhood, you establish authority. You want to establish some reciprocity. By giving this information to these businesses and your clients, you're the giver. There's an automatic sense of reciprocity in doing that. So, and then you want to give them a sense of what they're of anticipation, like they're looking forward to the next one. That's what keeps them engaged. Then these are Jeff Walker, by the way. Make sure, and we'll thank him on all of our media, but Jeff Walker wrote a book called Launch, and he talks about exactly what you're doing is you're establishing, and it's exactly what you said, you're not going after business directly, you're establishing credibility, influence, or Jeff Walker calls them the mass weapons of influence, so that you have influence with people, you have knowledge with people, and now you're not chasing clients that might even be the wrong ones. You're creating your own value and value for them that now they're going to approach you for. Right.
And it's a great collaboration, right? You're collaborating with people in the neighborhood have actually started contacting me and saying, hey, have you thought about doing this business? Or what about this business? And so I don't even have to, and now some businesses are actually reaching out to me too and saying, hey, we would love to be a part of your video series, right? So it makes my job a lot easier.
Now you're going to have to start charging for it.
Right, so it's like,
just charge referrals. For every 3 referrals, you get 30 seconds of video.
Exactly.
Isaac's liking our idea here.
So it's an incredible way to ingrain yourself in the community.
Right.
As a neighborhood expert, and I think in a fun and really creative way.
Well, it goes back to, I remember I've said this, maybe it's been a few episodes ago, but in this business, from the outside, it appears to be so cutthroat and so cheesy, which, hey, it is, but it's what you make it too. But we have such freedom to find our skill and our own value and our authentic selves. And in finding that and expressing that, we have the freedom to do that. And it becomes so much more fun and lucrative, by the way, when we do it that way. What is your success that you're most proud of as a result of doing the video series?
You know what? I think it's just, for me, I get so much gratification with helping out these businesses.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily like I've gotten so much real estate business out of it. For me, I've just gotten like personal gratification, and it also unveiled like this hidden love, this hidden talent that I didn't realize I even had. Right. So it helped me in personally in a lot of ways. And it's such a great distraction because, real estate, as we talked about, is such a grind. It can be really competitive. And sometimes we just need a break from the day-to-day logistics and the grind of real estate. So this has just been such a great distraction for me. But also, I just love the relationships that I've.
I want to elaborate on what you said there too. Don't forget about the relationships, and I'll remind you. But I think that's a great point, and to help drive it home is that I'm going to sidetrack. You said when you're doing, because a listener might think, so doing videos distracts you from business, and why is that a good thing? And it makes me think of when you're like, I don't know if it's marriage counselors or married people who give great advice on relationships, but I've heard it all my life. Like when you are in a relationship, if you have something in the relationship that's an even higher cause than the relationship's stronger. So, or if you're in a business, yes, you've got to close deals and you've got to do the deals. But when it becomes just about getting the deals closed, it becomes exhausting. Your clients sense that. But when you have something that's a little bit higher purpose of giving and sharing and expressing yourself, suddenly your focus being there on something kind of higher makes the deals closing become natural and easy and fluid because you're expressing a more authentic, natural version and you're more talented. I just want to bring that home for everybody listening to that because I think that's a really powerful statement you made, that let's not miss the relevance of that. And now you're also talking about going back to the relationships that it also develops, which is kind of to that point. Tell us a little bit about any, and I think in our business, we make friends with people and have relationships we never have. It is such a gift. And you're taking that to the next level with the video series, but tell us a little bit more about what you were going to share about that.
Well, I mean, to your point, I think that it really humanizes people, right? Like it really,
and our business.
And I think it's the best way to showcase your true personality, not just the real estate business person, but it's just like, wow, I really want to work with this person because seems really cool. Like she's really fun on video. She's probably really fun to work with. But also, I mean, I enjoy the fact that I'm helping small businesses. And I think a lot of businesses in my neighborhood, a lot of them have been hit hard with, the Amazon effect, and a lot of the rents are skyrocketing.
Yeah.
But, and if this little video series can help them and get the word out and, showcase how great their business or services are, then, I'm very proud of that.
What's small, and because we as realtors are all small businesses, helping out small businesses.
Right.
I would love if you could give us, sometimes through our greatest mistakes that we make our greatest successes and learn our greatest lessons. Do you have anything that you would share with us, either in your video series or in being a real estate agent?
Well, if I could go back 5 years ago to when I first started, I think what I would do is I would get a coach or find a really, really good mentor right from the get-go. I think that because I had so much sales experience and, I worked for big corporations for many, many years, I had this all figured out. Like this would be a natural transition and I would be an immediate success because I had so much success in my past career. But I was quickly humbled on how difficult this business is. So I got into coaching a couple of years ago, and it really helped. And I think it's one, you need accountability. We all have a lot of ideas. We all have a lot of things we want to execute, but we don't necessarily take action. So I think having a coach was good because there was accountability there. But also, I think it's really important to be in some sort of ecosystem. And that's what's great about Compass, and what was great about my coaching network of agents is it really ingrained me into an ecosystem, because this job, even though there's so many of us, can be very lonely, and we all need support. We all need people that we want to bounce ideas off of, and the best way to do that, I think, is to really find some sort of ecosystem. Exactly
within your broker, with other agents. Creating groups. We have Workplace where we have I'm members of too many groups. And I'm going to start my own podcast group, but that's one of those. So one more thing on the video series, and I'm going to close out with my final three that we always close out with questions. But first on the video series, because I love what you're saying about accountability, executing, and doing a video series consistently, that takes a lot of accountability. What would you attribute being able to execute that and so consistently to?
Well, I honestly think a lot of it is just because I love doing it. it's really hard to, when we get caught up in all the work that we have in our real estate business. But
Right.
I think you have to really love to do it. So
Well, it sounds like you had a video guy that kept you accountable too.
I have a video guy, so
Right.
that's have somebody accountable.
Right. Hey, I'll see you there on Thursday. So you show up, kind of like the podcast. Hey, we've got,
right.
everybody's here at the studio waiting. Jerry's going to be there in video no matter what, because everybody's counting on me and it's scheduled to do.
And once it gets traction and once you start getting viewers or fans, they will keep you accountable. They'll be like, hey, when's your next video coming out? So it's
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
You got to enjoy doing it. Otherwise it's painful. But I have such a great love for it that for me, it's easy.
Exactly. Well, and I think that's important. There's two sides of it. We started out with be willing to do what's uncomfortable, but you've got to figure out what's uncomfortable that taps into success, my talents, desires, passion, so that it becomes
Absolutely.
easy and fun.
Right.
And that will take your business obviously to the next level. And it sounds like this video series has definitely done that on your business and your relationship, so that it's it's taking you to one level, but it's something that can continue to grow and develop you as a person and an agent.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I think I've just scratched the surface.
Love it. All right. So our final three. Number one, what have you found is your most powerful tool other than a cell phone to call people? Because that probably is it. And that's what everybody will say if I don't rule that one out. So other than that, what have you found? Is it a CRM system? Is it your company? Is it a Compass tool? Is it another tool? Is it a video series? Is it an app? Or something else?
My most powerful tool that got me to the next level, or I didn't hear the whole question. I'm sorry.
Just in your business, just what do you find you couldn't live without other than your cell phone?
You know what? I'll be honest with you, even though we spent the whole hour talking about it, but the video series for me was a game changer.
I kind of thought so, but now it validates it, right?
Yes.
But that's
absolutely.
awesome. Yeah, and it sounds like not just doing the video, but having a video guy that was reliable and accountable and just as excited about it as you are.
And a great editor, because your videos are only as good as your editor.
Right. You hear that, Isaac?
You got to have a really good editor that will tell your story,
right,
and chop it down in 2 minutes and still have it to be a really great video.
And know what to edit out. I think I've done a lot of videos, and it's important to understand, like, you don't need 1 or even half a second of something can be more valuable than 30 seconds of something, no matter how hard and how long it took you to video it. Cutting it down, less is more. Anyway, not that we're editors, but it's really just kind of emphasizing your point in my experience. So what is a book that you would recommend we read that you think would most impact the lives of other real estate agents, or has most empowered and affected you?
Oh, well, there's so many, but I really love Seth Godin and any of his books.
Me too. Oh my gosh, so do you have a favorite you'll give us?
I like Purple Cow, and I like Linchpin.
Awesome.
But I think Purple Cow, as far as marketing, it's a really compelling story.
Yeah.
That has to stand out.
So I haven't read the book, but I quote him all the time anyway, because it's so relevant, the whole Purple Cow concept in marketing, and it's, your Purple Cow is your video series.
Yes.
And so everybody knows that hasn't read Seth Godin or heard the Purple Cow analogy or metaphor. You're driving out in the country and there are pastures everywhere and there are cows everywhere. Do you really notice any of them? Like realtors? No. But if there's a purple one, it catches your eye, and it's something. And he says, don't be invisible, be remarkable, be worth remarking on. And for example, these videos are totally, a purple cow is worth remarking on, and so are your videos. And your videos are more relevant.
Yeah, thank you. You want to be missed,
yeah.
Right? You want to put out content that people are going to miss.
Exactly. I love that. Create something people will miss.
Exactly.
And that's why they're holding you accountable.
Right, exactly.
Last thing, if there's one thing that you hope we take away, if we didn't take anything else away, what would it be?
I would say just put your fears aside and just do it. Don't overthink it. Just take action, and the rest is downhill.
Awesome. Beautifully said. Thank you.